Okay, so what I've done is in the bottom of my humidifier, this is a follow-on video from one I did earlier, is I've placed this metal mesh. Now, I managed to get this online, and the best way to get this, or to describe it basically, is if you are to, say, buy it off a site like Amazon or eBay, is to put in wire for sculptures. I think that's what I ended up putting into search engine. And then this came up. Now, I like this one because obviously it's really easy to cut. I was able to cut it just with a pair of scissors. You didn't need pliers because it's quite thin. The one thing I've not been able to use this for, though, is I have what is called like a circular blade to cut circles, but it's just not strong enough to cut it into a perfect circle shape for me. So I have had to do this freehand. And then you can see where I've obviously bent the wire down. The only disadvantage with this is do wear gloves. Okay, I don't always wear gloves, but it is sharp because it is metal at the end of the day and it will cut you. So the reason I've used this one is because, like I said, it's quite thin. So here, for example, is a dried flower. And this isn't one I did. This was actually part of a decoration. So these will now be upcycled since my lovely children decided to smash the container they were in. It was actually a vase that was like kind of not 100% resin casted, as you can see, because these were loosely basically put in between two pieces of plastic that were a vase that I had. And I probably had that vase for a good several years. And then my son, he dropped it on the floor. It completely shattered the plastic, but the flowers that were in between the plastic in the vase, on the outside of the vase for decorational purposes, have remained intact. They are very fragile. Like I said, when flowers dry out, they tend to be very much like paper. And you can probably hear my little one in the background. I do apologise. But if, say, you were trying to dry these out, the good thing about this now is that any excess that falls off isn't going to fall and land in the bottom of the machine. Now, they do come with their own kind of grates, as I call them, that you put on the top, but the gaps are quite thick. So I brought this mesh so that when I'm drying things that are a little bit smaller or finer and they need something which is more closely bonded, so to speak, it can work. Now, obviously I've turned it off at the mains, but, you know, so yeah. So what will obviously happen is this blows hot air up, and this metal will kind of get quite warm over a period of time, which is one of the reasons why I've tried to fold it down as much as I can to make sure, ouch, that's what I mean, it's quite sharp, so that it's not blocking any of the vents. But again, word of advice, whenever you are doing something like this, try not to leave it unattended. I know this from past experience, because if something dries out too quickly or you leave something to dry for too long, then it doesn't really do what you need it to do. So I'm probably going to look at pressing this down a little bit more just to get it away from the heat source. And again, you can see how pliable it is, how easy it is. Once it's actually got a bit of a hole in from where I've cut it, it's really, really easy then to just kind of gently pull apart. Just get quite hot actually, so again, don't do this without some form of protection unless you want to get your hands burned. And yeah, again, so it's just sort of making sure that the vent isn't blocked. And because obviously I've done this freehand, because again, this didn't actually come with this. Another thing you could probably use as well is tights. But again, you've got to be careful that this is actually can get quite warm. here is that's on its lowest temperature. That is the highest that it does. So you don't want anything to be touching this part of the machine that could potentially be melt or burn onto it. So please be vigilant. And then obviously you just turn it off there and then off at the mains to be on the safe side. Thank you.